What's good, you guys? Will here from Shadow Ascent, signing back and once again coming at you with another video today. And in this video, I want to talk about life and kind of just reflect upon things like, a big purpose of this channel really is. And that's something that recently we haven't really been uploading like at all. And so I'm not sure who will stumble upon this video or whatnot, but just the chance to reflect is big. And for anyone who may tune in, it is greatly appreciated as always. And regarding my personal life, 2024 so far has prompted and granted me with the most amount of change any year ever has, by far. And the thing is, it's at a point where it's only going to continue, right? Like, I'm moving out in a few months from now, and I have lived in this house my whole life, well, since I was 2 years old, so literally as long as I can remember. So this has always been home. And obviously, for anyone who has moved out, which I would imagine most people probably have, at least moved sometime in their life, right? Obviously, it's a big challenge. It's a change. It takes time to adapt, but it's stressful in the moments leading up, in the days, weeks, months ahead that lie ahead of it. And I'm moving out specifically with this woman that I met, this beautiful girl that I fell in love with over the last few months. Literally at the very beginning of the year is when we met, and on Valentine's Day we called it official. If you've seen my more recent videos, then you would know this, but regardless, it's my first relationship, and essentially we're madly in love. That's basically how I would put it. And we're going to be moving in together while she finishes her last year in college, and so it's obviously a critical point, and there's a lot of ways I can look at it. And one of them might just be, am I really capable of this? Being afraid, being unsure, having doubt. And there's obviously those feelings and thoughts there, those questions there. They're going to be present naturally. Doing something you've never done, you have to face that. And I think when change comes about, it brings a lot of insecurity with it. It forces those vulnerabilities out of you, because now you're having to adapt, and these questions are coming about. I'm in a relationship. Well, can I handle this problem? Can I deal with this that I was always afraid of in terms of relationships? And some things you might have not even realized. Moving out, well, can I handle the responsibilities of being an adult and deal with whatever life throws at me? And although the first reaction a lot of people might have to like someone falling in love is congratulations, that's such a beautiful thing, and it's been divine in so many ways, but it also hasn't necessarily been easy. I think specifically the first couple months of us dating, there was a lot that I was going through in terms of a lot of the things I talked about in the past in this channel, which is questions about, my porn addiction, even sexuality related things, and having to be open about those things was difficult, but also trying to overcome them over time. And it was mentally somewhat excruciating. As much as I loved her, or at the time, the first month or two, liked her, it was still very excruciating to experience that and try and figure it out, so to speak, and overcome that, and also balance things out and learn how to appreciate this person while also spending time and energy towards friends, family, passions, work, exercise, and everything else that I want to focus on. And that's still where I find myself a little bit challenged. I haven't really been prioritizing exercise, or at least the gym, that much this year. My job is walking dogs, so I get a lot of steps in every day, and I still get exercise. I'm not going to discredit myself, but particularly working out at the gym has been something that I've kind of taken a big step back towards. And also when it comes to friends and family, even though I've still been making time for them, it hasn't been to the same extent. And so I'm trying to learn how to move everything to a point where maybe I'm not at a perfect equilibrium, but I have a little bit more balance in that regard. Because when you first meet someone that you really love and have a connection with, especially when it's the first time, you want to be with them a lot. and I want to be with her a lot. But I also understand that there's so much else to life, and I don't want to neglect those areas in my life. But I also see, and I try to kind of have a sense of humility in this, but I'm aware simultaneously of a lot of progress that's been made, a lot of growth that I've managed to muster, and I'm very grateful for that and truly blessed for everything that has manifested in my life throughout this year and all these opportunities that are coming about. Making this video, in all honesty, is not just to upload it, but for myself to kind of sit down and reflect, which isn't something I've had a ton of time to do. Everything's been happening so quickly. I look back at last year, 2023, and it was one of the nicest years of my life. It was really great. I was in the best physical shape of my life. I was working quite a bit. I had a nice job, first full year of walking dogs, which has been paying pretty well, believe it or not. But I also just felt like I was in a good state of mind, a good place, and just going about life, enjoying things. I felt very at ease mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, even financially. I was starting to build things up. And I still feel like now I'm in a very good place. Like I was saying earlier, first couple of months of the new year, when I was beginning to talk to this girl, I was like struggling a little bit with certain things mentally, but even though I'm better now, I would say last year had more stability to it. Now, as much as I appreciate that, I also find that stability can be your greatest enemy, just as it can be the most comforting thing. You need times that are stable. You need days, you need moments where you can kind of relax and be comfortable, obviously, but I find that over time, life can sort of lose its meaning. We need, and it's odd, but we need that chaos and sort of this stirring of the pot, of a mixture of emotions and feelings and questions, because like I said, that brings with it a certain level of insecurity that forces you to face yourself. And something that I am very inspired to do with my life, not just career, not just relationship wise, but specifically just with my life and myself and my day-to-day journey, is to face who I am. And the fact that, man, I've made a lot of mistakes already. I've failed a lot. I've messed up quite a bit. I don't necessarily want to go into full detail about everything I've done in this video, but I'm just saying, I pride myself on doing the right thing, but I also know that I haven't always been necessarily responding to certain situations in the most mature of ways, or making the right decisions in a particular scenario. But it is those instances that, for one, allow me to analyze and process where I went wrong and ultimately learn as a result, so that I don't repeat certain errors and I can kind of alter a certain action to better myself ultimately. And that's essentially what I want to do with my life, is just be able and capable to face who I am and not run from that idea. I try to tell, for example, even my girlfriend, hey, if I'm doing something that you think is out of line or wrong, I want you to hold me accountable. And I pride myself on doing that, on being accountable. But again, do you, watching this video, like to be told when you're wrong? Do you enjoy that? Do you like, even just in a simple argument, to be told you're wrong, or have to accept that? No, it can almost feel a little bit shameful. And we have pride. Everyone has pride. It is one of the 7 deadly sins, but everyone has it. And no one likes to admit that they're wrong or admit when they take an incorrect step. But it is vital to have the ability, maybe not in the exact moment, but over time, to look and reflect and be like, okay, here's where I went wrong. And if it requires it, apologizing or opening up to someone, whoever it may be, whatever the situation might potentially be. But I think not just in facing who I am or facing who you are or whatever, it's also important to accept all of these imperfections and all of this darkness and all of the weaknesses that we have. Because in my opinion, it is the vulnerability, that side of us, that is truly our greatest strength. When you are not afraid to talk about something that is extremely kept deep within. Because a lot of times we seal these things within, these deeply rooted emotions, and they can build their way up. They can lead to a heightened level of anxiety, stress, depression. And so when we're not facing ourselves, we begin to lose that aspect of control, of understanding, of empathy amongst ourselves or even other people. And I think this year has been a big learning process for me. Like every year is. Every year is. I mean, I think even since we started this channel, I've been kind of on this journey of trying to grow, to heal, to learn, to adapt. And it's been a long-winded process, but I'm trying to stay on that while also understanding that life can take you down all sorts of different paths and roads and avenues that sometimes you least expect. I had always dreamed of having a partner in my life, a romantic connection, experiencing true love and all that, but I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't expect it to happen. I wasn't thinking like, as soon as this year comes around, I'm going to fall in love. I also didn't expect that it would be challenging at the same time, that there's a lot of things you have to work through in a relationship. There is no Romeo and Juliet like fairy tale where everything is just so perfectly aligned and there's nothing that can separate the two of you, and it's just transcendent and all of this stuff. There's challenges you have to work through. There's differences, there's space, there's insecurities, like I said, and so much that goes into it, that it's a commitment because it's a challenge of facing obstacles and learning how to grow together. And that's where a lot of people kind of lose sight of that commitment to that. One of my goals in life too is to raise a family. I have children and like I said, fall in love and marry someday and go through that experience, right? I want to encounter that, all of it. And it's learning how to, while you're in the midst of the storm, of the struggle, of the challenges, embrace it. I'm not entirely sure what lies in the remainder of the year other than moving out. I'm also getting a new car, which I didn't mention, soon. It's definitely bringing about some stress and anxiety. However, I'm trying to just, while on one hand, be a little bit bitter towards, I'm going to leave all this behind. This home, this room that has forever been my room. The hometown that I've always lived in. My parents, who obviously I'll keep in touch with and everything, but I won't be living with them anymore. And everything that I've known that has been my foundation for 22 years. I'm 24, but I moved here when I was 2. So basically my whole life, right? And it's this feeling of, everything I'm leaving behind. But then you kind of have that jolt of, what am I looking forward to? This new chance and opportunity that will certainly ignite some level of growth and realizations and a large quantity of obstacles, but at the same time, for the better, ultimately for the better. And it is seeing that is very important, because sometimes when we are faced and presented with these challenges, we want to play the victim and sit back and blame an outer source, whether that's society, parents, family, friends, co-workers, job, anything. We want to sit back and blame something. I'm guilty of it too. I'm not going to act like, I've never done that. No, I've done the same thing. But life is difficult. Life isn't going to coddle you around, especially once you reach a certain point in time. Like, you got to learn how to figure things out. You have to learn. But in order to do so, there's a certain level of bravery, of courage, of willingness and discipline to just, even if you doubt yourself, do it. And just to get up and face and confront the demon, the challenge, and that is the best, the most honorable thing that I think you can do in these sort of situations. Sometimes in the moment I'll look at things and be like, oh, I may feel stuck, or like I don't know where my life is going, but then I look back on last year, the year before, the year before, the year before, and so on, and I'm like, wow, a lot has changed. I've come a long way. It's really all about patience and belief. If we all had a little bit more of that, I think we could benefit. Just being patient in our quest, but also believing and not giving up. I'm gonna get there. Whatever the goal is, I'm gonna get there. You know? I'm gonna get there. These affirmations are important, and I think just believing in yourself, I know it's very cliche, but genuinely that belief and that patience and taking the action to achieve whatever it is that you want or aspire to is going to be key in whatever journey you embark upon. So I love you guys. Whoever may be tuning in, thank you if you've made it to this point in the video, and I hope it all is well. Feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And Will from Shadow Ascent, signing out.